Welcome back to the Getting a Grip podcast. We have wrapped up the action in Madrid, and no surprises on the men's side. Our predictions did come true, and Alcaraz came out on top, and I did pick out Struff to make a sneaky run. Not that I thought he was going to get to the final, but, as a lucky loser, I think that's pretty much the furthest anyone's ever gone as a lucky loser in a Masters 1000. So big shout out to him.
Cool.
Yep. And then on the women's side, we did have, I don't know if you can call it like a massive shock, but the number 2 seed beating the number 1 seed. So Swiatek, who we all thought was going to win. Nah, not a massive shock, but a shock nonetheless. So yeah, those are the kind of the main headlines, but I'm going to leave it over to Merlin to test me out with some trivia on those events in Madrid. I'm sure I'll aim for 3, as I always do.
Those are the main headlines. Are you serious right now? Right, okay, so I'm going to obviously give you one of the other new
Give me the other headline.
The other headline is my favourite player, Mr. Andy Murray, obviously winning a challenger event, first in 18 years. The thing we always wonder with these sorts of things as well is obviously they play it as a little bit of a consolation when they come out of Madrid too early on. It's been known to happen before, a lot of French players, but actually it was quite a star-studded draw. But my question is, how star-studded? So for the first question, what I want to know about the Aix-en-Provence match was what seeding was Andy Murray at the tournament? And your 4 options are 1, 2, 5, and 10.
Okay. Well, I was hoping you weren't going to give me numbers super close together. I know he wasn't 1 or 2, which you'd probably want me to think that he was, but he's not as highly ranked as he once was. He is sort of hovering around the 50 mark. So, and I know we had some big guns in there. Actually, we definitely had Tommy Paul in there, and a couple of other pretty high ranked players. So I thought it was 5 or 6. Those were the numbers that came to my head. So I'm going to go with 5 as my answer.
Well, you're off to a flying start because that is correct. Well done. Yeah, it was. He was seeded 5th in the tournament. It's not bad, but for a challenger event, obviously you expect to be somewhere in that top 10 if you're anywhere in the top 100 rankings. Yeah, absolutely great final. I think Andy Murray doing what he does best, coming back from a set down. That's his 2023, it seems. But yeah, I don't know what you thought about that.
That was more surprising that he won some of the other matches in straight sets. Given how, well, I know it was the end of last year, the sort of start of this year where he was just winning everything in like 3 sets or whatever. But I was somewhat surprised not to see him at Madrid, but I think where he's at the moment, clearly the fact that he won it and he beat some decent players was just like an indication that it was a good decision to make, to not go to Madrid and give himself a chance to at least build up a few matches first.
He was at Madrid. He just lost in the first round.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay. Well, it would have been a good decision.
Just bear in mind, this is basically a 2-week tournament, Madrid.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you still don't have to go to that other tournament, right? You can just go away and practice if you want to. So, but he clearly knows that he needs to build up match practice. So the fact that he was able to just win those earlier couple rounds was super important, and then just building a bit of confidence, a bit of rhythm, and then the fact that he beat Tommy Paul in the final, and Tommy Paul's been having a pretty fantastic season. So, and he's someone that you would predict to go second week of Grand Slams coming up. So that's a pretty big win for Murray. Actually, probably one of the biggest wins of the season for him, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're right in terms of ranking for sure. He may have beat other people who are higher ranked because he has, like Berrettini, for example, at the Australian Open. So, but in terms of the meaning, especially on the surface, for sure, yeah, and match practice on a surface that he's not played for years, yeah, absolutely matters.
Is that is this? Do you think this is going to be his last French Open? Dare I ask the question?
It'll be the last French Open, I think. I would, unless he wins it. But I don't see that happening. The stranger things have happened in tennis. What a story that would be. But no, I don't think that's going to happen, and I think it probably will be his last because he probably in future when he's a little bit more crippled, he'll probably focus on the tournaments he loves and has better chances at.
Well, we'll wait and see on that. I mean, it's not that long away now. It's a few weeks, so hopefully he can get through at least the first round. Just I feel like he more than most players now needs that kind of early match practice and rhythm, because he could get caught out in the first round quite conceivably. So there you go.
Yeah, not being ranked too highly does equal some tricky draws. Anyway, it's question number 2. See if we can get more than 100%, or get 100% for your first couple of questions. What I want to know is, how many points did Andy Murray win when he won this tournament? So how many ATP ranking points do you get effectively for winning an ATP Challenger tournament? Got 4 options: 50, 100, 125, and 250.
Well, for some reason in my head I thought 150, but then that doesn't really work because it always just doubles each time. So I will go with 125.
I'm going half of a 250.
Yes.
And you're sure? Final answer.
Well, what were the other options?
50, 100, 125, and 250.
Yeah, I'll stick with 125.
You go with that. Good. I'm glad you stuck to your guns, because that's correct. Well done. Yes, it is indeed 125 points for winning an ATP Challenger. This is obviously why you see a lot of players actually. It serves quite a good purpose, especially if you come out of a Masters 1000, because 125 points is actually like making quite a deep run at a Masters 1000 tournament, for example, in terms of what you're getting out of it. So, you can see why these players go to these tournaments. These tournaments are very keen to get these players in as well, because it raises the profile. Like, I don't think Ayon Provence has ever had as much sort of media flurry as it probably has this year, having like Tommy Paul and Andy Murray within its draw, Gael Monfils returning from a bit of injury, and all of this. It's definitely very important. But no,
Yeah.
very interesting.
That's a good, again, another smart move on their part to allow, early exiting players from Madrid to then enter into their tournament. That's like a huge opportunity for them. And again, I don't think I'd really even heard of this tournament before this year. So the fact that we got these big names going there now is, like you said, raising the profile, and then maybe it's something other challenger events could do. I know that ATP are trying to push like the notoriety of challenger events and stuff, especially when you look on like social media and stuff. They're trying to push it a bit more and build the stories of those players, because obviously, a lot of the players have to come up through the challengers anyway, like the younger players. So just trying to shine a bit more of a light on it is helpful for those players coming up as well.
Yeah, for sure. Having an earlier spotlight on these things as well will hopefully not only garner people fans, but also hopefully allow people to develop a little bit more of a capability within the media side of being a top tennis player. Because obviously you can see that some players have never quite mastered that. And there are some young ones right now who are clearly failing.
And who are those players that haven't mastered it?
I don't know. Who are they? Stan might know.
They don't happen to be of Greek origin, do they? By any chance?
No. I was thinking of someone else. But yes, that's also true.
We'll leave that open to interpretation.
Indeed. Anyway, question number 3. So obviously the men's and women's finals both occurred in Madrid with obviously a spectacular lack of surprise, I'm going to say, on our part in terms of predictions. You predicting Struth would, go far. No surprise that Alcaraz won. And no surprise that Sabalenka and Swiatek were in that final. Maybe a surprise at the outcome, but you had to beat her eventually. Can't keep getting destroyed. What I want to know is, between the men's and women's singles finals, what was the difference in games? And your options are 0, 1, 3, and 7.
Well, I like a good scoreline. more specifically a champ tiebreak scoreline. But this is close enough. I think I did look at the scores before this. I know the Alcaraz match was, I think it was pretty much 6-3 every set, obviously in either direction. The women's one, there was definitely a couple of 6-3s, but I'm not sure what the other set was. What were the options again?
So your options were 0, 1, 3, 7.
Oh, well, it's not 0. 7, definitely not. Okay, so between 1 and 3. Given that a couple of sets were the same. You know what? I'll go with 1. I'll go with 1. Just the way you said it makes me think, oh, maybe it was quite close. I don't know.
The way I said it. Okay, interesting. Well, the way I said the number or the way I said
the
the
way
question?
You said the question.
Okay. Well, you are correct.
Huh?
There was only one game's difference, and that was in the second set. In the men's final, I believe the scoreline was 6-4, and in the women's final, it was 6-3. I think the women's final was actually 3-6, 6-3, 3-6. And in the men's, it was effectively 3-6, 6-4, 6-3. So, yeah, quite an interesting turn of events. I may not be remembering that correctly, so feel free in the comments.
Probably not. There's always someone who's going to tell us we're wrong.
Probably. There's always someone. But yeah, quite an interesting one. Both tight affairs, both 3-setters, both bit of a rivalry as well. Like Struff and Alcaraz, they've had a couple of run-ins before in the past. It's been interesting. So
yeah, well, like Struff I think he beat Alcaraz the first time they played each other, and then Alcaraz was, well, I mean, he's young now, but he was like 17 or something when that happened. And then the second time I was there for the second one, which was the first round of Wimbledon. Which was like 4 hours long, 5 sets. Yeah. But Struff is a big server, and as we saw in this match, like coming to the net a lot, and actually did throw Alcaraz off a little bit, which was at least a different tactic to what other players have used, like trying to beat him from the back a bit. And if you're with the power he's got, you're going to get pushed back, and then it always leaves him the option of playing one of those drop shots, which seems to catch everybody out. So the fact that Struff was there, sort of giving him a different look, a different angle, seemed to work it worked sort of in the first 2 sets, and then I think Alcaraz just kind of worked it out a little bit towards the end. But kudos to Struff, he couldn't have really done much more than he did, and hopefully we see more of him, because he has, since Wimbledon last year, he's been winning a few more matches, and he hasn't been injured for so long as well. So he's another player to look out for. And then, obviously on the women's side, that's a rivalry. Hopefully we're going to just continue to see develop, hopefully with another couple other players. But yeah, it's an interesting one, that, because it's just the way they're both playing is just basically just who can get on top of the baseline earliest and then push the other one around.
Over it. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if one of them's going to be forced to change tactics a little bit. I don't know, a bit more variety in the game.
Well, you say that, but I'm hoping that, because that'll be a good thing for women's tennis in general, as you start to see a little bit more variation, the match is a little bit different, because what you don't want is repetition in terms of what you're seeing. You want repetition of what you're seeing, but not how you see it, for example. So you don't want to just see them slog it out constantly. Like, if you've gone and seen that once, then great, you've had a great match. But if that's every time, every final, people are going to start getting a little bit bored, and we don't want that. We need more promotion and more reasons that people can get into women's tennis.
Yeah, maybe they could take a bit of inspiration from Struff and try and employ a little bit of well, maybe not necessarily serve and volley, but approach and volley tactics, something a bit different. Bit of like some slicing in there, like give them a different look, different angle on the ball, rather than just trying to overpower each other. To me, it's like almost like the styles are so similar. It's like when, you probably hate me saying this, when like Novak and Andy came up against each other, in one respect it was just like 2 very similar styles, and you kind of you knew what you were going to get, and it was just, I don't know, who could hang longer in a lot of the rallies with the way that they were playing.
Who could hang in there mentally, I think, is the key there.
Yeah, basically. Could the crowd hang in there mentally? That's the challenge.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
God, I was always strung somewhere like on the edge of my seat with those matches. I couldn't handle them.
then you knew like the first set was like going to be massive because it went on invariably for over an hour, and it was just
Mm.
like just mentally destroying. But anyway, yeah, hopefully we see a bit more variety. Well, someone's going to have to change it up anyway, because if let's say Sabalenka wins a few more key matches against her consecutively, then you have no option but to change something, right? Because the definition of insanity is just doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. So
Quite right, quite
you would
right.
think
Ooh,
someone's going to think of a
I
different
thought I
way
was
to
the
do
scientist.
it. The definition of it was more like being an English teacher, I think. Define insanity for me, please. Yeah,
Well,
go
time
watch
to
that
find the
match.
seven.
Anyway, yeah. So what's that? It's 3 out of 3, isn't it?
Three out of three,
Unprecedented.
yeah. Yeah, you could be on for a runner. Well, I actually thought that you might not do quite so well, so I threw in as the fourth question a little bit of a morale booster, and I went with this.
I'll get it
In the
wrong
men's
now.
doubles final, where I predicted the outcome of this as well last week, I did say that I thought that they would be an interesting pair to watch and that Rublev and Khachanov could be a dangerous combination. And what was it? Rublev was joking in the final about that winning the biggest one with him after loads of jokes between them. So you can see that they're great friends.
Hmm.
But what I want to know is in the final set tiebreak, what was the score? And your options are 10-0, 10-3, 10-6, or 10-9.
Sorry.
Yes, Ben? What's wrong with that?
It's just that it. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with the last option, but it's the sort of nod you gave after you said it. Like, just convince yourself that that's a legitimate scoreline. Yeah, I am still awake enough to know that that's not
I hope I
possible.
didn't catch anyone else with that's listening as well.
Uh, and I know it wasn't 10-0. So again, I'm between the middle two, which was 10-3 and 10-6, right?
Mm. Come on, you love a
Mm.
tie-break score question. It should be your bread and butter. You should know this. In your heart of hearts, you know this.
Am I supposed to just pluck it out of the air somewhere? Oh, there it is. That's the answer. Thank you. Um, I'm not sure. I'll just go with 50-50. 10-3. I'll go with that.
Are you sure?
No, but I'm going to say it anyway.
There's 100% on the line. Sticking with it?
Yeah, why not?
You're correct. Well done.
Oh,
It is indeed. The score was 10-3 in that final set tiebreak. So, again, like what we say, like a close match can actually be quite easily decided with these tiebreaks. One of the reasons we play them, because it changes the rhythm, it changes the way a match works, which is why it's a great way to end it that way, especially in doubles.
yeah, I don't know. Well, I didn't see a lot of the match, but sometimes it can be indicative of how close the service games are. So if even if the
Yeah.
score is like 6-3 in a set, one side might be closer to breaking than the other team, and then you kind of see that magnified a little bit when they get to the tie break.
Yeah, you could have games where, one side are winning them into love, for example, on their service games, and the other service game's going to juice every time for the other pair. And, you don't see that in the set game score design, whereas in a tiebreak, it becomes heavily exposed.
Yeah, like we said before, it's bringing that
Interesting.
whole thing closer and closer together, right? The whole match, where it's a quick changeover of
Yeah.
who's serving. Yeah, I mean, I like that format as well. I mean, it doesn't drag on, I guess, as much as it could. But everyone's always in sport. Everyone's always trying to like streamline the events or whatever it is, unless it's football, which stays the same. But like you have it in cricket as well, where they're just constantly trying to like streamline how long it goes on for, trying to make it shorter and shorter. So hopefully for the crowd, that makes it, I don't know, a bit more interesting.
Okay. 4 out of 4, you're at 100%. And there's only one question left. And it's my favorite question. So I really hope you get it right. But if you don't, that's just because you haven't seen it in the news. So CakeGate caught the headlines this week in Madrid. And what I want to know is what was the reason So option number one is that Alcaraz and Sabalenka received different sized cakes for their birthdays. Option number two is despite player birthdays, no one received cakes. Option number three, multiple fans threw cakes onto the centre court during the finals. And option number four, cake has now joined the list of banned performance-enhancing substances. What's the answer?
Oh my god. Well, I don't think fans have been throwing cake on the court, but that would be interesting. I don't really know, like, that's not really a way of intimidating or heckling someone. I'd be like, just give me more. Like, I'll take it. Free cake, please.
Yeah, but it's on the clay. Like, it'll get.
Well, yeah, okay. You got to try and catch it before it lands on the clay, right? No one wants clay like frosting or dusting on their cake. Yeah, you get it stuck in your teeth, and it's horrible. Anyway, the first option was they had different sized cakes. The second one was what? What was
second
the second
one
option?
Was despite it being their birthdays, they didn't receive cakes.
Oh, well, that's definitely not true because Alcaraz did receive a cake, so I can remember that, I think. And then what was the other option I haven't mentioned?
Cake joins the list of performance-enhancing banned substances.
Let me think about that. Maybe if it was a Sharapova birthday cake. You might have to leave that one out. I'll go with the first option. The least ridiculous of all of them.
Alcaraz and Sabalenka received different sized cakes.
Sure, let's go with that one.
Well, congratulations, Ben. You've got 100% for the first time in Getting a Grip podcast history.
I can't believe it. I just want to thank my mum, my dad, my family. It's been a long road to get here.
It's been a good year and a half.
18 months of hard work have led me to this moment. Yeah, I mean, those were all like ridiculous apart from that one option. But wait, so Sabalenka, did she get a smaller cake than Alcaraz?
Yeah, she got a smaller cake. And obviously combined with the the women's singles and women's doubles not being able to give speeches, or I think it may have just been the women's doubles, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, what with that going on as well, where the men did, obviously there's been a lot of a little bit of an issue with sexism during this as a debate within tennis, especially within Madrid. Was it Jesper Gula? She came out and criticised it quite heavily with Coco Gauff, because obviously they were the ones that weren't able to speak at doubles. Yeah.
Did they give any actual justification for why they didn't allow them to speak?
No, not really. I think they said something to do with timing, and there was complaints about like how late they were playing the matches in the day, like sort of 1 p.m. matches. No, that's never fun. Swiatek said it in the final. Maybe they were trying to avoid more criticism because they know that, for example, Jesper Gula said this, that she's on the Players' Council, that sort of thing. You don't want a tournament being criticised by someone from the Players' Council because then it becomes a debate for them as well. Yeah, like I say, all big issues.
As in, sorry, you don't want it being criticised because of them going too late? What do you mean?
So, for example, the Players' Council, that they represent all of the players on the ATP and WTA tours. The point there is, and they're represented by specific players who join that council. Yeah. And what they will do, obviously, the opinion that is generated by said council does obviously matter in terms of tournament entries, and also in general, like sort of appreciation of a tournament, for example, in terms of say the respect that it's given by the players. And this sort of stuff does matter, especially when you have more tournaments coming into the fray and making it more competitive. So I know that with Madrid, it's the only one at that time in terms of majors, but still important.
Well, yeah, I think Feliciano Lopez is the tournament director, isn't he? So I'm a bit, I don't know, surprised that he would sort of allow that sort of thing to happen. It's kind of a weird thing. You wouldn't expect there to be.
But is he in charge of cake?
Nah. No, I'm not talking about cake.
and
I'm
whether
talking
they
about
can, and
the
whether the
speech
runners
thing.
up can give speeches and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's like
It feels like someone's taken it upon themselves to do that, and they'll probably be
it might not
fired.
be one person. It might be, and it might just be unlucky. It might just be unlucky that this have all happened at the same time. But that's still inherent bias underlying the fact that all of these things have happened at the same time, which obviously needs to be addressed in some manner.
Yeah, the cake thing's also very strange because why wouldn't you just make up two cakes that are like the same?
It's a noticeable difference. Like Alcaraz's was tiered, and Sabalenka's was just one cake. So
Bizarre. I wonder if there's been other
yeah, I don't know
instances of
what.
this happened, like sort of thing in previous tournaments. I don't know. Let us know
I don't know.
if you've seen other things happen in other tournaments that maybe we're not aware of. But go on.
But also, you know how that fourth question, the fifth question's fourth answer, cake joined the list of banned performance-enhancing substances. As much as that was a joke, the two players that had birthdays and cakes by the tournament ended up winning the tournament. Maybe it should be.
what? Well, you're suggesting there was a bit more than a bit of sugar and frosting in there.
Maybe Feliciano Lopez has got a plan in mind.
Oh, the Spanish influence, eh? Spanish player wins a tournament.
Anyway.
There we go. Conspiracy theory. Tennis conspiracy theories. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on Cake Gate and any standout moments you've seen from the tournament. Yeah, is Alcaraz going to just go from strength to strength? And is he a favourite? Is he the favourite now for the French Open? Is Nadal going to come back in time? Who knows? And on the women's side, is maybe Swiatek kind of looking over her shoulder a little bit going into the French, albeit she'd still be the favourite. Let us know your thoughts on that. And yeah, obviously give us a follow on the different podcast platforms and on YouTube. Like it, share it around, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one.